Hi Aries, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your December 2021 love reading. Thanks to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's what I call the bridge and the gap spread. And the way it works is we'll look at the past energies, present energies, and future energies between you and your main love interest. Once we get through all those, we'll actually pull some oracle cards for some additional insight. That's where the bridging the gap dynamic comes into play. And as far as the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, and on the right side we have the Tarot Sexual Magic. Also, keep in mind it's a general reading, so I'm going to be referring to the cards on the left is your energy and the cards on the right is the other person's. If you feel like it's the other way around in your situation, then definitely trust that. Alright, so with all that out of the way, we'll get started. Past energy on your side, we have tradition. So this is actually the equivalent of the Hierophant in traditional tarot, which is Taurus energy. Now, for some of you, I'm technically recording this before the full moon eclipse in Taurus, but given that this is a December reading, for some of you, this could just be saying that possibly around that full moon, you guys might have actually considered at the very least proposing to this person, or at the very least making this a more traditional type of connection. And for whatever reason, there could have been some resistance in your environment to that as well, because if we look at the names on this card, it's Romeo and Juliet. So there could have been some forbidden aspect to the connection as well. But at the very least, it looks like you definitely had a desire to make it a bit of a more formal connection in one way or another. And for some of you, this could just be saying that possibly maybe it was around work. So maybe the two of you worked together, and that was why there was a little bit of a reluctance to go down that path with this person. All right, past energy on their side, we have the Four of Cups. So this is Cancer energy here, and usually that represents an energy of being disappointed with offers coming your way, but at the same time not necessarily vocalizing what you would want, right? Now that's in traditional tarot, and then an extra layer to that with this particular deck, it always stands out to me that these people, it just looks like they're up to something shady, right? Like this person has that hooded jacket on, and they look like they're looking over their shoulders, right? You see the scissors there. Just something always just seems a bit off to me about this. So what this could be saying is this person might have had some people in their environment that were giving them some bad advice around the situation, so they might have been gossiping, spreading rumors or something along those lines, but possibly with ulterior motives. Could just be, let's say, maybe if there was someone who was interested in them, right, and they would confide in them about the connection with you, and anything they would say, all of a sudden this person would just say tons of negative things, right, with that ulterior motive of hoping that they could get with the person. So something along those lines there. That's what I'm picking up on. Oh yeah, but like I said, if it's not necessarily that, at the very least, it looks like they weren't necessarily happy with what was being offered. All right. Present position on your side, we have the King of Arrows. So this is actually Aquarius energy here. And so for some of you, could just be saying that maybe this has already taken place where an offer may have been rejected. And now, for example, all right, so just a super generic example of how this could play out. Maybe they, you approach them, they might have rejected your offer, but suggested that the two of you remain friends or something along those lines, right? And you might have just been, I don't know, feeling like something was a bit off with that, right? Maybe not wanting to go down that path. Because what always stands out to me is he does have his back turned to the card on the side, but he's also holding those flowers there too. So to me, it represents that like there is some emotion there. And then if we think of that arrow representing communication, with his back turned, he's not pointing it in that direction either. So I feel like, at least at the present moment, there's no communication between the two of you, and you might not be expressing any feelings at this time either. All right, present energy on their side, we have the Hermit. So this could just be one of those things where maybe now they're reflecting on the situation. This is Virgo energy, by the way. But could just be saying, for example, let's say going back to that original scenario I mentioned where someone might have been spreading rumors or something like that, right? Now they could be reflecting on, well, actually, was this person telling me the truth, or did I assume that that was what was going on, right? So there could be some reflection on that. But either way, I would say at the minimum, it looks like there's no communication between the two of you, because we see, if we have them back in the spread, their backs are clearly turned to each other. So could have been a falling out between the two of you. And speaking of which, this is a good time to remind you guys that in December we're going to have Venus retrograde too. So there could definitely be some confusion, miscommunication around communication, relationships, or whatever, in December. All right. In the future position on your side, we have the Queen of Cups. So this is actually the court card for Cancer. And at the very least, this could just be saying that whatever the situation is where it seems like you have your back turned, right? Like I said, holding those flowers there makes me feel like there are feelings there. The arrow not pointing in their direction to me says that you're not necessarily communicating what those feelings are. So to see this change up in the future to me says that it looks like at the very least you will be more open to this person in the future. We do see her body language turning back toward the cards on that side now. And if we had to put a timeline on this, I would say that this could be around the time of the Cancer full moon, which would be in January. So, given that this is in a future position, it would make sense if that was just pointing to that timeline. But yeah, that's what I see there. And future energy on their side, we have the King of Chalices. So this is actually Scorpio energy. So just on the surface alone, I would say that this looks like a good match of energies, right? We have the Queen of Cups with the King of Cups, essentially. But this could just be saying that this person might still be withholding their feelings as well, because the King of Cups energy, that the love usually runs deep, but they're not necessarily super expressive with it all the time. So could be how it's coming across for some of you. Yeah, that's primarily what I'm picking up on there. But on a more positive side, at the very least, it could just be saying that now they're more secure in their feelings, right? Because that Four of Cups energy is definitely an energy of vacillating, right? Like I said, not necessarily being happy with what's being offered, but not doing anything about it. The Hermit energy is a very reflective energy, so there could be a lot of analysis going on in that process. And now seeing this in the future energy could just be saying that they feel a lot more sure of themselves, a lot more confident in themselves around how they are feeling. All right. Bottom of the deck on your side, we have Transformation. So this is the equivalent of the Death card in traditional tarot. And so similar to what I was saying with like the Forbidden energy with the Romeo and Juliet on the tradition card, here we see Pluto and Persephone too. So it could have just been one of those on again, off again type situations between the two of you as well. But yeah, at the very least, it looks like there's definitely going to be some change coming. This could also be pointing to the fact that there's tons of energy in Scorpio too. So if we think about that, that naturally for you guys is your eighth house too. So that could point to transformations, and that might be what brings you, from that shift of energies where you seem to be a bit detached and not necessarily communicating, and to at the very least becoming more open toward this person in the future. And beneath that, we actually see the Queen of Staves too, which is the core card for your sign. So looks like it could just be a process you guys are going through. Like I said, this might even point to the Venus retrograde energy we have coming up. So could just be a temporary thing. All right, and the bottom of the deck on their side, we have the Empress. So yeah, on the one hand, this points to that energy I was mentioning there, which is to say that they're not necessarily the types to take action. But at least with the Empress showing up here, we do see a growth in their confidence. And so, similar to what I saw with the King of Chalices there. So, at the very least, I will say they're going to get a lot more in touch with their feelings and figuring out what they do want. Now, as to whether or not they come forward toward you with that, that could go either way. And speaking of which, we do have the Two of Pentacles underneath that, too. So, yeah, could go either way with them. Looks like they're still thinking through some things, but beneath that, we do have the Magician, so they might actually take action soon. All right, moving on to the Oracle cards. First, we'll see if we get anything from the Aqua Moonlight deck here. And I did pre-shuffle this deck, but what we're going to be looking for is some unspoken messages from you to them, and then from them to you. I'm going to see if we get any jumpers first, and then if not, worst case, I'll just put the deck down and we'll pull a card. But let's see what we get. Alright, so nothing's coming up here, so I'll put the deck down. And just give me a few seconds to tune in and we'll pull a card. Alright, we'll take this one, and next we'll see if we get any from them to you. Nope, nothing there either. So, same thing. I'll put the deck down. Give me a few seconds to tune in and we'll pull a card. Alright, and we'll take this one. Alright, and let's see what we got on your side. We have sorry. There we go. It says, please accept my apologies so we can move past this. Interesting there. I mean, I'm not necessarily seeing an actual conflict between the two of you. For some of you, if let's say if you really did fully pull away from this person, right? And especially if like it was, if they gave you a legitimate reason where maybe they didn't want to necessarily explore things on a romantic angle. Like I said, maybe if the two of you work together and then your work environment, if that was like not, if that was like a forbidden thing in a work environment, then it could just be one of those things. But yeah, either way, that could just represent your openness toward them that we see in the future. And on their side, we have finances. All right, it says I'm busy with work right now and it requires my attention. So funny enough, I just mentioned work on your side that the two of you might work together. But yeah, I mean, makes sense. Virgo energy is an energy related to work. Scorpio energy could also point to that as well. But yeah, looks like this person just might have other things going on in their lives. So that could be why they're withdrawing. At the very least, it looks like on both sides, it looks like there's a bit of a lack of communication that could be contributing to the problems. Venus retrograde too, especially given that it is in Capricorn, I feel like people are going to be doing some reevaluating of, you know, how much of their self-worth is tied into what they do for a living, as they say, right? So that could be one of those shifts that might take place between the two of you as well, you know, where if you guys were too focused on finances, for example, you might reevaluate that during the cycle. But hopefully that resonated with you. All right, and lastly, we'll pull a card from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck here. Same situation as far as I pre-shuffled this deck as well, but here I'm just looking for one card with general advice for us to wrap up with. All right, got two. Okay, so let's see what we got. We have higher power, and we have truth to be told. Okay, so let's read this one first. Okay, it says conscious contact with a higher power, the presence of the divine, seeing source energy in all things, committing to a partnership with spirit. The Oracle's message. This card reminds you that you are more than a person trying to get ahead and make things happen for yourself and others. You have an immortal soul and are gifted with a human life through which a higher power can express itself. At this time, you need to be conscious of your connection to spirit and foster it through prayer and meditation. Ask, what is the highest good for all? How can I serve? Then get out of your own way and trust that there is a plan for your life more wondrous than you can ever know. You are always protected and divinely directed. So definitely a pretty positive message there. And the relationship message says it's time to address how much effort you give to your relationship with your higher power, called God, Goddess, Spirit, or any other name that is sacred and holy. Recognize that your partnership with Spirit is your number one priority. The appearance of this card also indicates that there is a deep spiritual bond between you and another person who is essential to your growth and evolution. Tend to your spiritual connections and remain aware of your true nature. So again, pretty positive message there. Like I said, at the very least, at the present, it looks like there's not any communication between the two of you, but at least we do see a cup energy on both sides in the future. So could just be something that you guys are going to be more open to in the near future. All right, and the truth be told message says honesty, accepting things at face value, coming out of denial, the willingness to be transparent, clarity of communication. The oracle's message: there is the truth, which is the essence of a thing, and then there is a truth, subjective according to the philosophy of the adherent or believer. This is not a time for debate about which truth is truer. This is a time when you are called to proclaim your truth out loud and be willing to be transparent, honest, and open in your communication with others and with yourself. Nothing less than surrender to what is, peeling off the layers of denial that kept you tied to an illusion will set you free. Be authentic and gloriously flawed, and spirit will answer with miracles. So yeah, definitely a pretty positive message there. And like I said, it just seems to point to what I'm seeing in the present, which looks like neither side is really making any movement toward communicating with the other. All right, the relationship message says people tell you who they are very quickly if you're willing to listen to what they say and pay attention to how they behave. This card calls you to engage in heartfelt, open conversation. It's time to see the truth about what you share with each other and tell the truth about who you are and what you need. No one can do that for you. Remember that your truth is always based in your personality and experience up to now. A higher truth to be found after you communicate honestly and see how doing so has helped you become more attuned to yourself. Don't hold back. Speak your truth and listen. So yeah, another repeat message there to a certain extent. Like I said, it definitely does look like the two of you would need to communicate. Now, to be fair, if you guys are watching this before that full moon eclipse in Taurus, you might want to wait until after that energy for a bit. But yeah, especially early in December, just keep in mind that Venus will already be in shadow by then. But early December might not be a bad time to address these things. There will be actually a new moon eclipse in Sagittarius early on in December, but it's going to actually have positive supportive energy from Mercury and nothing really harsh happening with that. So that could be a good eclipse to actually see things from a higher perspective and also communicate. All right, so hopefully that resonated with you guys. We'll wrap up there and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.